Hi, my name is Alyana. I'm 18 years old and I'm studying at the University of British Columbia. Cannabis is something, especially since it's recently been legalized, it's something that has always been very interesting to me. As I've mentioned lots of times before, my mom is a pharmacist and she works a lot with mental health and with people who have mental illnesses. And so I've always heard a lot from her and have, as a result, become very interested in the link between drugs and mental illness. And so like both how drugs can help with mental illness, but also how they can sometimes like exacerbate symptoms. So I think that was what first drew me to the project. Because I hadn't seen a project like this before, where it's specifically not just looking at mental health or looking at drugs, but looking at how they're connected. So that was the first thing. And just also personally knowing people who not only have tried cannabis, but also people who have psychosis. And so I think that was something I wanted to learn more about personally so that I can bring it back to the people I know. I think it's really important to just know, like, to use it safely, and that's the harm reduction part, because obviously, you can't tell someone not to do something that doesn't work, and it's, it's like there's the positives and the negatives, and it's based on how, like, cannabis will affect that person. So I think it's really important to just be safe if you do want to use it, and also if you don't feel like using it, like that's not a problem at all. Like you shouldn't have to feel pressured to try it or to not try it. And so I think being safe when using it and just being informed, especially about where you got that cannabis from. For some reason, I don't feel like a desire or a need to. It's, for me, I don't even know how to get a hold of it. And I do have a lot of friends who, even in high school, they were able to get a hold of cannabis and were able to use it. But I think because both my parents, they were very open about their experiences and how they hadn't tried drugs or smoked or anything like that, and they didn't pressure me to not. They weren't just saying don't do it. So I think it was the fact that they were open about their conversations. My mom, of course, was very scientific in what she shared. I don't think I would ever smoke it. I also just have asthma, and so generally that would not help with it. And I feel like I would just kind of choke and not enjoy the experience. Yeah, I think that's. I don't see myself doing it anytime soon. Just for some reason, I don't feel like doing it. But the future, I can never know what happens, so. I think because depression and anxiety are things that are very, well, all mental illness is personal, but with depression and anxiety, I feel like it's much easier to kind of hide that almost. Like with depression, a lot of times it's people not wanting to really do much, want to go outside, and so you kind of contain to yourself almost. And the same thing with anxiety. People, like, of course, with a lot of when people have panic attacks, sometimes they're in public, but a lot of times they're in private as well. So, and I think anxiety is something that is, it's more normalized now because everyone's like, oh, I'm so stressed, I can't handle this. And that's why it's spoken about more. But with psychosis, even saying the word psychosis to someone, they're like, oh, what exactly is that? And psychosis is so broad in its range of kind of symptoms that I feel like there's not as much knowledge or awareness about it. And especially when, like, people who do know what psychosis is, it's linked to schizophrenia. And unfortunately, especially in media, like, schizophrenia hasn't been portrayed in a positive or like accurate way necessarily. Like, it's always like, oh, people with schizophrenia in the media are portrayed as like crazy in movies, but that's not true. I think because when youth see that the youth voice has been represented, they're more likely to, they feel represented then. They feel that this is for me, as opposed to, oh, this is an adult talking down to me and kind of saying, or like, here's the information. So I know when I see a youth involved in another project, I think, okay, so they're trying to represent maybe the voice and the opinions that I have. And I also just think in terms of, well, youth kind of know what's going on with other youth, like the culture, the language, and so it has, like, with this project, is trying to be as inclusive and accessible as possible. And of course, who else to ask than other youth who might be like the consumers or have people in their friend groups being the consumers of the information.